Two lumps of iron entered the blacksmith shop. They both looked around. One saw sharp tools, smoke, shadows, and fire. He gulped and whined, "I bet this is gonna hurt." The other noticed a big blacksmith striding towards them. He saw the strong hands, sharp eyes, and confident steps. He looked up and said, "I bet this guy knows what he's doing." Rough Hands picked up the pieces of iron and dropped them into the furnace. The heat was intense, and soon the iron began to melt. One started to panic as he watched himself become a puddle of molten metal. The other looked up and saw the blacksmith watching them closely. "He's waiting for something," the puddle of iron thought. "He won't leave me in here." Sure enough, when both puddles of iron glowed white hot, the blacksmith carefully poured them into long molds. It felt so good to be out of the furnace, and both pieces of iron breathed sighs of relief. After they cooled, the blacksmith put them into another fire. As they turned from black to red to orange, the first piece complained and grumbled. But the second piece chose once again to look past the flames at the blacksmith. "He knows what he's doing," the iron said to himself. Then the blacksmith pulled them out of the fire and placed them on the cold, hard anvil. He reached for a massive hammer and raised it above his head. "Oh no," the first piece of iron cried. "He's gonna beat us." "No," the second piece replied. "He's gonna shape us." Then the hammer fell. Sparks flew and both pieces of iron winced in pain. The hammer came down again and again. Slowly they began to take shape. Then they went back in the fire. This process continued for a while. The fire burned and the hammer hurt. While the first piece of iron shuddered and cried as he watched the hammer rise and fall, the second piece watched the blacksmith's face and took it without a complaint. "I don't know what I'm gonna be when he's done, but I won't be what I was," he thought. For a long time, the irons went from the flames to the anvil and back again. Finally, the blacksmith took them across the room and dunked them into a bucket of icy water. The first piece sputtered and cursed, but the second one noticed that the cold water made him feel stronger, more solid. Once again, he looked up at the blacksmith. "Almost done," he heard the blacksmith say. Then the blacksmith took them to the grinder. The coarse stone wheel spun, and the pieces of iron watched in horror as they got closer and closer. Suddenly, the room erupted into sparks and pain. One piece of iron screamed, but the other tried to take it. "It's all part of the process," he said. When the blacksmith was finished grinding, he reached for a metal brush and scraped it down the pieces of iron. The sharp bristles cut and clawed all along the iron. It hurt bad, but the second piece of iron kept looking at the blacksmith. "Everything happens for a purpose," he grunted. Soon, the blacksmith was done. The man was smiling, then said, "It is finished." The blacksmith lifted up two shining swords. They flashed in the light. But then the blacksmith frowned and looked closely at the first sword. Something's not right with this one," he said. "I'm gonna have to start all over again." He inspected the second sword. "Yes," he said warmly, "this is quality. The fire purified it, the hammer shaped it, the grinder finished it. This sword's ready for battle." The new sword stood as tall and straight as he could. He felt brave and dangerous. All the pain, all the sacrifice was worth it. He entered the shop a worthless lump of iron ore, but now he was a sword. He was strong and sharp. But the new sword, he didn't look at himself. He didn't notice his shiny finish or razor-sharp edge. Instead, he looked up in awe at the blacksmith and said, he did know what he was doing all along.